How about now?
Yeah,
that's
now
what it
we're
is. Good thing, because then I was just talking to the wind. So again, this is what happens when you go live. Sorry about that, folks. So welcome, Mario. I was just starting to go over the different tools, but now that you're here, I'm actually going to stop sharing for a hot second and just talk about what we were talking about before. So for anybody that joined last week, we went over vibe coding, what vibe coding was, and what was it about. We kind of gave you kind of a little bit of a sneak peek, and we went over what vibe coding was and everything else. Well, today we're actually going to build another app just to reintroduce everybody that didn't watch it before, how easy it is nowadays to kind of get an app going and get your ideas really out there. So as always, I have my lovable co-host, Mario, who is traveling the world all over. Are you in Manila? Is that where you're at today right now, Mario?
Yeah, I'm in BGC, which is a suburb of Manila. So.
And how is it out there? I heard it's a little crazy with the weather.
A little bit wet, man. A little bit rainy. A little bit. Yeah, there's been some pretty serious flooding. Some bad stuff. But it's they're on the mend, so it wasn't as bad today as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, have a good morning and stuff for anybody that watches. Half of my staff is in the Philippines, and they get it's apparently typhoon season. So I don't know whether you knew that, Mario, but hopefully you're safe and accounted for, like we see here. But anything to add as far as like, we went over vibe coding last week, right? We talked about like doing a little bit of a coding app today. Any kind of like I mentioned Bolt, I mentioned Lovable. I know MinMax is one of them. Replit. There's a Cursor. I mean, there's literally so many out there at this point right now. Which one are you kind of using right now to kind of get this thing going?
Yeah, so I kind of look at it like this, right? So, and I do this in my coaching program. I teach people that you start with Lovable, and Lovable is great at front-end applications. It's great at visuals, very basic applications that are mostly front-end centric. And then you move from that to a platform like Bolt, which is more back-end centric and has more intelligent capabilities. And then from there, you move to a platform like Cursor, which doesn't have a UI that displays information about the app you're building. It doesn't have, near the amount of functionality that some of these other platforms have from a visualization standpoint, but it's a hell of a lot more powerful. So you look at it kind of like you've got Zapier, right, which we talk about a lot on these calls, Zapier, Make, and N8N. You have Zapier, which is the most expensive, the easiest to use, and probably the most user-friendly is like Lovable, right? And then you go to Make, which is Bolt, and you have Bolt, which is more complex, a little bit cheaper, not necessarily as user-friendly, but really powerful. And then you have Cursor, which is like N8N, where you need some sort of level of code knowledge, JSON knowledge, really just a better understanding of building an application, just like N8N.
Yeah, so I think the level agrees. I like that.
They're kind of like the three.
Yeah, and I like the breakdown. I mean, I think that's a really good, solid breakdown of it. So for everybody watching today, we're going to start with Lovable, so you guys can start at the base level, and then over time, probably in the next few sessions, we're going to kind of like go to Bolt, and from Bolt go to Cursor. Cursor's probably going to be the graduate level that we might do from that point on. But from here, so Mario, why don't you go ahead and share your screen, and let's see if we can get a little mini app going today, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me share my screen. I was just actually talking to Rob and Alex really quick. So just wrap that up. Let me share my screen now. And how do I share my screen? Window, entire screen, share. All right, perfect. So I've actually done some prep work for this one, and what I wanted to do is build a platform for displaying our N8N widgets in a much more user-friendly
very nice.
manner. So N8N has the ability to do chat widgets, and you can interface with chat widgets. But one of the challenges with it is the embed code's a little bit complex. It doesn't have a lot of style preferences. You can't do like pre-prompting of information. So we need to add pre-prompt questions or preemptive,
which is going to be really good
questions.
because this is a companion video for when we created the NAN and the chatbot. For anybody that wanted to see that, we did have a video already on the channel that does that. So now you'll have the ability of building the spot that goes along with it.
Yeah, so this is more than just a bot. This is actually like a centralized user management platform. So I included a couple things in this that are not centralized. It's not just a centralized user management platform, but it has user management capabilities, because one of the things that when you're building an application that you really need to make sure that you have is good user controls, right? So user controls are part of it. There's all manner of things that you have to include that most people just don't think of. And as part of this tutorial, one of the things I want to talk about is how you construct an app from the ground up using a platform like Bolt or Lovable or any of these, other systems, and what pieces fundamentally are critical. And one of those pieces is understanding how to architect the application, right? Because when you build an application, there are a couple things that are really important. And one of them is building the right things in the right place. And sorry, I'm just grabbing my computer charger really quick because for some reason my computer is not charging off its other charger. So
yeah, so while he's doing that, just to kind of recap, and I know we're building up to this and we're trying to give you the knowledge first before we actually dive into it. The reason being is what you're going to learn is when you're building an app, you kind of got to understand the infrastructure, because if you don't understand the infrastructure and all the things that are required, you'll build an app and you won't be able to deploy it, or you won't be able to use it. So it kind of defeats the purpose. So we're trying to shortcut that for you a little bit by giving you all this preemptive knowledge prior to you actually building the app. Because again, from a lot of trial and error myself, who's a person who's a non-coder trying to figure this stuff out, if you start wrong, you'll end up taking longer than you need to, or it just will get to the end and then you can't do anything about making it live because you didn't build it in the right way. So what Mario's trying to do is trying to eliminate all that for you, so you guys are building it right from the get-go and not having to redo things later on that are probably going to destroy your app as you build it.
Yeah, and that's, something. So it's kind of funny. When I first started vibe coding probably a year and a half or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, I didn't think like a product manager, and I didn't think like a software developer. I thought like, oh, this is a great tool where I can just dump all my information and magically it's going to output what I want. And what I realized over time is that there are some very specific nuanced things that I'll go through as we're building this application that are really important to make sure that you are aware of. One of them being user management. So if there are two tips, right? Pro tips. So pro tip second, if there are two major pro tips that I can give you, it's that one, you need to include very verbose, and verbose means like extensive or wordy or detailed logging outputs. And the second thing you need to do is always build user management.
Logging into the software or logging into the thing, correct? Okay.
No, logging outputs meaning like when the software does something, it reports back that it does it or why it failed.
Now I understand. So more like statuses or for the common folk, right? Like, so for everybody that's not a coder like me. So basically, when we're building the app, we want to create places where if an error occurs, we get notified of the error.
Yes, exactly. And success messages. All right. So what I've done here is I've created a prompt inside of Google Doc, which is where I recommend you write all of your prompts in general, right? I'm just going to copy this prompt and I'm going to make one minor change at the end. I'm going to say, now I want you, knowing the context that I am using the platform Bolt.new to write this software, to create a basic product requirements document that includes the above specifications and also prioritizes the user management before all else. This will integrate with Supabase and be deployed via Netlify. All right, so now what I'm going to do, can you still hear me, Nuno?
Oh, yeah, I can still hear you. You're coming in perfectly clear.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is, so pro tip 1, Bev, was always include verbose logging. Pro tip 2 was always make sure to prioritize user management first. So those are the 2 things that you need to make sure that you always have in your application. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Manus, and I'm actually going to copy and paste that prompt that I wrote in Google Docs into Manus. And what I'm going to do is tell it that I want quality and I want it to write a product requirements document, and I'm going to hit send.
Now, again, you can do this with any AI. Mario and I go back and forth with a lot of different AIs. We use Manus, we use GenSpark, we use Claude, we use Gemini, we use ChatGPT. We try all of this, and we can go from there. So that's super important. And I want to make sure you guys understand this. So it doesn't matter whichever ones you use, just use whatever you're comfortable with. Want to make sure that you're like understanding that, again, and we gave you like kind of which ones you should do based on your skill set, right? Lovable first to get like the look and the feel of what the app should look like. Bolt when you got to get into the back end. And then finally you graduated to Cursor, which is if you really want to develop this app and launch it. Well, same thing goes with the different kinds of AIs. You're free to choose and use whatever AIs. The reason why we do that is because when we do that, it gives us the ability of seeing other perspectives from the code. Now, if you guys watched last week's when we talked about vibe coding, I check my code with Claude or with Gemini, and sometimes I go back and forth with both, just in case I can't understand what it's telling me, or if I keep getting the same errors over and over again as we go through this process.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason that I pick Manus is that Manus does a better job of thinking when building PRDs. So specifically for building a product requirements document, Manus is probably the best one. You can use Claude Deep Thinking or ChatGPT Deep Thinking. Either one will work fine. But Manus is probably the best one for building PRDs just because it does a much more extensive and thorough job than the rest of them will, because its context window is significantly higher since it's a framework as opposed to a raw AI. So we're just going to let that build out. And we'll just give it a second here.
And that's as verbose as you're going to get. That thing's like 17 pages long.
Well, that's not bad. That's not bad, right? Because we can actually take this and we can dump it into Claude, or we can dump it into ChatGPT and have it summarize it and make it even smaller. So there's a lot of value into making it more verbose. Also from an understanding standpoint, because like not all of us are product managers, right? Like I'm trained as a product manager. My former employment was as the director of product, and my job was making sure that products made sense and were very clear in the product requirements. with this, if you're not a product manager, this is going to teach you how to read and understand the nuances of vibe coding. Because like we talked about last week, right? If you don't tell it to include the check mark or the X box or the submit button, it's not going to include it. So you do have to be very detailed in your explanation of what you want out of that output. So Manus here is just finishing up. What I'm going to do is this is bolt.new right here. So I use bolt.diy. That's a little bit more advanced. We're going to use bolt.new. I just bought some credits for the purpose of this demonstration. So what we're going to do is we are going to say, okay, first I want to build, and we're just going to go back into our little AI vibe code document, and I'm going to say I am going to provide you with an extensive product requirements document. From that product requirements document, I want you to create the application, build the core framework first, then I will provide the product requirements document. Here are some basic details about the application. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste this right here, put that in here, and hit enter. Not now. All right, so what it's going to do now is it's going to start building the initial dependencies. So this, again, is a little bit more complex than Lovable. It does require some level of code knowledge, but most people, I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he was telling me that, he has only experienced troubleshooting basic HTML and CSS. And I was like, dude, that's fine. Like, if you understand the principles of troubleshooting, vibe coding becomes infinitely easier, right? So it is significantly faster if you understand the basic principles of troubleshooting. It's nothing anyone can't learn by watching Nuno and I's videos. So what it's doing is it's creating all of this information.
Mario,
and it's going ahead.
So can I ask you a question, Mario? When do you introduce the PRD to this?
Yeah, so as soon as the PRD is done, which is what I'm waiting for right now, as soon as the PRD is done, I'm going to replace this PRD doc right here with that PRD, and then we're going to build off that PRD. So we're going to give the AI some running memory. But what I did is I had it create basically the initial structure of the application first. So it created the package.json file. It created a Tailwind file. Basically, it runs Vite, some different technologies that we have in here, a basic app.tsx
Now,
file.
was it a prompt that you used that created that? Or like, how did it include the PRD? That was part of your instructions, you said, right?
Yeah, that was part of my instructions.
Could you share those instructions with the group, like, so then everybody can kind of understand, so they build this right, possibly? So we'll put it in chat for everybody. So if you guys are building an app, maybe this will give you a little bit of a cheat. Because I think if we have, like, they understand, like, we talked about a PRD, right, which a lot of people won't know, and they probably won't have the initial prompt, which will probably be a little harder for people to kind of understand, especially for the new people, right? A lot of new people are going to have some challenges. Yeah, correct. The product requirements document, and we want to make sure we do that, so we have that in there. What I'll do is I'm going to put this in the chat. So again, for anybody watching live, congratulations. This is going to be a major cheat sheet for everybody here.
All right, so it just did the PRD right here. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this PRD. I'm going to copy all of this and put it in bolt.new under the PRD. And what I'm going to do is just save this. And now I'm going to tell it, okay, I have uploaded a new PRD, read prd.md, and begin creating the user authentication and dashboard components. Then give me the next steps. So what I'm doing now is I'm just doing a very basic, I want some user authentication. It's going to read the PRD. It's going to import the Supabase functions. It's going to do everything that I needed to do. And this is all, again, guys, this is vibe coded. So this is not something like this would take developers
Like
hours,
probably days and weeks and months. Because you're talking about all these different requirements, and you're talking about look at all of what it installed additionally. It installed everything on the left-hand side, by the way, everybody, for anybody that's not a non-coder. The way I kind of understand it, that is the structure of the app. You'll need all of that to actually run your app. So basically what Mario did with that PRD is it's giving it all the things that possibly will need to run this application, because you're going to need all of that. And the fact that he did it in the way that he did it, I mean, this is news to me. I've never heard of a PR. Well, I heard of PRDs before, but I never, honestly, in working in the 7 years of tech, in the last few years of Capital One, I refuse to look at these things, because every time I look at these things, I don't understand a single word. So the fact that you could create them that easily blows my mind. This would have saved me years of my life if I would have known about this stuff earlier on.
Yeah, so we're just going to go back here. And we're just waiting for it to finish. So it's building some stuff out. Building some stuff out. And one of the things that you're going to see here is once it finishes, we're going to add some integrations. Those integrations are going to be things like Supabase, stuff like that. We're just going to create a new project.
And what's Supabase again for the everybody that's viewing that doesn't know what a Supabase is? I think that's the biggest problem we always have when we build apps is the whole Supabase part. That always trips us up big time.
Yeah, so Supabase is a database, just a basic database. It's just the easiest database to use with vibe coding. And so easiest database to use with vibe coding, and probably one of arguably the simplest databases to use. It's a Postgres compatible database. But basically what we're going to do now is we're just going to hit add database. We're going to create a new project. We're going to call this project N8N chat widget. Generate a password for it. We're going to create this I am in Southeast Asia, but we are going to create this in the US, Ohio. Create new project. We'll hit let's go. I'm going to save that credential. And right now what it's doing is it's finalizing. And you can see we have a problem right here, right? So it's missing the Supabase environment variables. We're not going to worry about that just yet because we need to finalize that setup first of Supabase. Then we're going to attempt the fix, or we can actually just ignore this challenge right here.
And this is like, again,
so it's finalizing that setup in Supabase.
The thing that everybody needs to understand when we're doing these kind of things and we're doing the vibe coding, we're doing this live, mind you that this is like very heart-wrenching. A lot of people normally won't do this. You won't see a lot of vibe coding things out there on channels because like there's a lot of risk and things not going right. And everybody's like always want to show what a perfect and how easy this is and everything else. Vibe coding is not hard, but it's not always going to work off the first iteration of this. And again, watching these sometimes can be a little daunting because like you're watching it, we're trying to get something to work. Sometimes the first iteration doesn't work. All of that things need to be constantly updated. And then we're worried about three things, right? The internet being slow, things being, not done right by the actual things, and us actually possibly messing up and putting the wrong thing in. So vibe coding live is definitely a very risque live anything versus us when we build stuff because we know how to build left and right. When you start getting into the coding area, it's like playing with lottery balls.
I don't know if I'd call it risque because I'm not taking my shirt off yet, but
with all your newly fashioned tattoos.
I might call it risky. Yeah, while we're doing this, yeah. So I've got my Hailey tattoo right here. I've got my HL Pro Tools tattoo right here, and I've got my CRM sim on my leg, and then I'm getting another one probably in the next couple days. Or honestly, after we get off this call, if I can find a tattoo shop that's still open, I'm gonna go get another tattoo. But yeah, guys. So what we're doing right now is it's building the migration files, and like Nuno was saying, Vibe coding live is really rough. It's not something that is for the faint of heart, but the good news is we're here to stick it out with you guys, and make sure that you get. So this is going to be a multi-part series where we're going to build out this application. We'll keep it iterating, and we'll do this live. We'll show you the challenges you have, all those different things. So as you can see now, the database schema has been created. It's got basic CRUD operations. It's got a variety of different things. So I'm going to apply these changes to the Supabase database.
Mario, there are some questions coming through. So Bev is asking, I set up with Illistio. Is that okay? Or do I need to set up with Supabase? Can you build the authentication and user management within Illistio?
You cannot. You could using bolt.new, but you can't using, with bolt.diy, but you can't doing it with bolt.new or with Lovable. All right. So here's a problem that we encountered, right? So now the database migrations have not been applied correctly. So we need to understand why. So what we're going to do is we are going to fail to run SQL query input parameters after one of the default value. You must also have defaults. We're going to attempt to fix, right? So the AI knows, and this is why we include verbose logging, right? Because the AI knows that it's got problems, and now we're asking the AI to fix its own problems. So we're just going to give it a second. It's trying to fix its own problems. So it looks like this is auth provider, credentials, web container, router.
So, and by the way, this is where Nuno, like when I get these errors, you see, what I tend to do is I copy these errors and I shove it into Claude to help it explain to me like a 5-year-old and how to like fix it. I'm not as advanced as Mario is, so sometimes I have no idea what any of that crap means. So what I'll do is I'll put it in there, and I will basically first try to understand what the error actually means. So I'll literally put in a prompt of, hey, please explain to me that like this as a non-coder and as a 5-year-old, so I can fully understand how to fix it. And then I go from there. So it's something that you might want to consider, like as you're getting these problems, this is what's going to happen as you try going through.
And one of the problems that you'll encounter with these platforms is all of them use Anthropic and Claude. So Anthropic's API gets overloaded really fast because, to be totally honest with you, ChatGPT sucks at coding. So this is a common problem you're going to see, which you just have to wait a couple minutes.
Oh, I didn't know that Bolt was off Anthropic. I thought the Bolt was off of Claude or Gemini. That's interesting.
Well, Anthropic is Claude.
No, Anthropic is Claude. Yeah, you're right. Because I was thinking OpenAPI. So ChatGPT is like horrible. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So OpenAI and ChatGPT.
Yeah, are one. Yeah. I know my brain, my dyslexia kicked in at that point.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. Yeah, Gemini is probably the second best in terms of coding, and it's mainly because of its context window. But Anthropic has not released its context window, and I'm guessing it's in the 2 to 4 million token window. So they're doing a pretty good job crushing it. Like I actually use, which I don't know why Bolt doesn't do this and why more people don't, but I actually use the Amazon Web Services Bedrock Anthropic models because they don't ever crash ever.
Interesting.
Like their Amazon Web Services has the most powerful Anthropic models on the market, and Anthropic themselves can't even keep up just because Amazon has gazillions of dollars. Yeah, exactly. So we're just going to hit retry again, and hopefully that works. Oh man, we're going to hit an overload for a little bit.
Well, how about in the
So
meantime,
let's,
I
yeah, so
wonder if we can take the same exact thing and go into Lovable and see if we can get Lovable to kind of show them a different kind of thing. Because again, this is what happens when we're doing it live. Servers are overloaded. Nothing we can really honestly do about that. We're going to have to give it a hot minute before it starts off. But what we can do is we can start the exact process over on Lovable. And guys, this is what exactly happens to me sometimes. Whether it's AI or whether it's like when we're building apps, if one system gets overloaded or stops working altogether, I just start creating in another system. And then whichever system finishes it first is the system I usually go with. And then I keep going back and forth. So right as of now, we kind of broke Bolt on you. So we're going to try it in Lovable instead. And again, using the same prompt, the same kind of PRD, he's going to go through the same exact process. And you're going to kind of see a different kind of co-creation in this. Now, remember, this is a little bit more advanced for anybody that's watching. We did include the link. It's in Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and both Mario's and I YouTube channels. Go in there and check it out because it is the actual prompt that we use to start building this app. And it's also the one that we fed to Manus to do the PRD. And for anybody coming in late, when we added the PRD to the file, that's when things really kind of lit up. And that's what we're going to basically do again in here in Lovable. Now, if you guys are looking at the screen, this looks exactly like Bolt, right? There's really very minimal differences.
Well, this is Bolt. This is
Lovable, and then Bolt, but it's
right
kind
now
of it's the same interface per se. It's not. It doesn't really go
for sure
too off base. It has the same integrations, which is Supabase, and I believe Netlify also works on this one, or is this one different? Yep.
Yeah, no, Supabase and Netlify. Yeah.
And Supabase is the database for sign-in, for memory management, and all that. That's why it's a pretty popular, and they created integrations for it. And then Netlify, or however you pronounce it, that is to actually make your app live, like your web app live on an actual website, so people can actually go in there and use your app. And the reason Bolt and Lovable both integrated those is because those are the two hardest things that people were having trouble with. They couldn't get their app live, and they couldn't integrate it to a database or get a sign up going. So That's why they integrated, with more integrations coming in the near future, which I already heard Stripe is already in the works of being integrated to both, which I think is pretty darn cool.
I think Stripe is already integrated.
I think in one of them. I don't think in both. I think either Lovable has it, and I think or the other way around, or Bolt has it. But it does. Both of them do have very good working knowledge about how to integrate both. And I think all you need to do is get your API and approved from Stripe in order to get payments collected in here. So you can actually make an app that collects money, which is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, so we're going to try and apply these migrations. Again, we have a problem, so we're going to try and apply these migrations. We keep getting a problem. So this is where really you just got to keep hitting go until it's able to resolve the problems. And terminal error, what's terminal error? So I'm actually going to kill this terminal, and I'm going to attempt to fix, and transform for all the two errors, attempt fix. There we go. So we got some duplicate import errors. Now it's fixing the problem. So now we've got some other problems. So we look and we see what problems we have. Attempt the fix. While we're waiting, Lovable is currently working on it. So we're just waiting for Lovable to finish what it's doing. You can see Lovable is a little bit more detailed in the Replit is awesome, to answer Kevin Lyons' question. Replit is like a good mix of Lovable and Bolt. I'm not as familiar with Replit as I am with Lovable and Bolt. So I typically stick to what I know. And the other thing is that I use bolt.diy as opposed to bolt.new again. It's free to use and you just pay for your API keys. So a little bit of a different kind of mentality.
Well, and you need to know a little bit of coding because it's a little bit advanced.
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment too. So
Yeah. So in other words, keep using Replit. If you kind of, I probably came in late, Kevin. We were just saying that there's so many of them out there right now. You got anything from MinMax, you got Replit, you got Lovable, you got Bolt, you got Vercel. I mean, literally, there's MinMax. I think is another one that's out there. I mean, Base 44. I saw the other day, and somebody's promoting it. So there is a lot of them out there. But the principles that we're showing you here, as far as the PRD and creating the prompt and doing all that, and kind of understanding like the overall mix is going to be the same no matter what you use. So because they're all using the same kind of logic, then they all require the same thing. So whichever one you guys are using, use. We're not for or against any of these. We're not affiliated to any of those. We're just trying different ones to see which ones are better. Right as of now, for me, Lovable and Bolt are the ones that I constantly go to. I am very interested in trying Replit. I'm also very interested in trying MinMax because I heard that that's like doing really well. But again, have to try them out to give you guys like a full report. But right as of now, the principles of what you're learning in here are going to be the same in no matter what things you're using. And again, you're seeing the problems that we're having, right? And the common problems, like I mentioned before, the issues that you normally going to have when building any of these apps are integrating the database, creating the database, and making sure it works well. That is always the biggest problem that everybody faces in any of these things, in my opinion, at least. And if you don't understand a little bit of coding, you do get stuck quite a bit. So just watch as we're going through the problems that we're trying to solve for them. Because again, the problem we're having in Bolt is definitely a database issue. It's definitely having issues with like creating users and assets, which I think we just got through. And just to be clear, Mario didn't do anything special. He's letting the AI resolve its own issues.
Yeah, and I'm just providing the AI with additional context of how it can resolve those issues. And to Nuno's point earlier, all you have to do is feed these issues back into another AI. And it's like, have you ever, Nuno, do you remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I mean, yeah, it's a great game. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Like, you know how you had the phone a friend
Yes.
option? It's the same principle, right? Like you're phoning another AI, or even a new instance of the same AI is going to think differently and approach a problem differently than the original.
But I like
AI
that.
will.
I think you created a new thing, like phone your AI friend. You know, like let's phone our AI friend.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Whenever in doubt, phone your AI friend.
So let's take a look here. So we've got our basic connection here. We're going to check. We've got our Supabase. Check the Supabase deployment and give me the basic user credentials. And so now we're going to go back to Lovable. And here we go. We've got a basic page and some core framework. We're going to hit get started for free. We can put in our information. Just put in that create an account and nothing happens. So what we need to do is we need to connect Supabase. We need to connect it to a project. We're going to connect it here, create project. We're going to call this project Vibe Friday N8N Lovable. We're going to generate a password. I'm going to set this to Ohio, create new project. I understand. And we've got it connected to a project now. So it's spinning up that project. We're going to go back and check in here with Supabase. We're going to retry this. We're going to try this again. I'm guessing we're running into an Anthropic error again. So we need to look at our code. I'm just going to refresh this code really quick. Yeah, we're running into Anthropic errors. So let's check Let's check Lovable again. We're going to connect it to a project, Dolibot.ai, Vibe Friday Lovable. Connecting. Let's set up authentication. And Lovable is going to do some thinking. So again, guys, like this is part of vibe coding. So when you get stuck, like don't abandon stuff and just get frustrated and give up. Like you gotta stick with it and keep trying, because if you don't, like nothing productive comes out of this. Like this is still a bleeding edge technology.
Yeah, and Kevin, that's really good. Kevin, his particular tech stack, I love it. Cursor, Replit, Supabase, NAN, Vercel. Beautiful. Like that gets a chef's kiss. That's fantastic. And yeah, he goes, I like Vercel for deployment, someone new at it, but I'm old school PHP developer. That's perfect, man. Whatever works for you. It's the combo that works for you. It's the general principles that we're just trying to teach you guys to get you guys up and going. And again, he's just landed a 10K Vibe project this weekend, man. Love it. That's super successful. Love to hear stuff like that, because that's what's really going to push it over. Guys, you'll be surprised. Once you get the wing of this, creating these little mini apps to help you in your business or to help other people in their businesses, it's an extra thing that you can really charge a good amount for, because you're being introduced to a lot of these coding apps and everything else. I would say 90% of the population is still not in the know of this. So you guys still have the advantage. And then coming on these calls and like trying to figure these out with us as we're building it along, I'm hoping it's bringing some kind of value, because again, the overall goal is for you guys either one to help your businesses and you keeping moving forward, and it's also for you to like make some money out of this. And I'm a big believer, and I know Mario shares the same. There is plenty of money to be made by everybody, and there's plenty of opportunity. So don't waste any minute here in order not to do, because I would really love for you guys to really kind of bug out and do something pretty major with this. And Kevin, those are success stories I love hearing about, because it gives everybody the like understanding that you don't need to know a lot. You just need to know enough to make you dangerous. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, vibe coding, dude, is all about sticking with it. Like I've gotten to the point where, like, if I was using my tech stack, which unfortunately is probably a little bit complex for what we're teaching. Man, I keep moving that window. If I was using my tech stack, which is probably a little bit more complex than, you know, what we're teaching right now, I'd say like I could build this out with limited errors. But I mean, I'm spending, you also got to imagine, guys, like I spend hours prepping for this. Like this PRD that Manus wrote, like not only is this PRD like really good information, but I read through this step by step and I understand, like, okay, it says priority 1, foundational features. I say, okay, first thing we're going to create user management and authentication. Then we need basic widget creation and configuration. Then Supabase and Netlify integration. I'd probably move this one above here because this is something that I know needs to happen in this specific order, right? The Supabase and Netlify integration actually need to come first, as opposed to user management and authentication and basic widget creation and configuration. So these are things that I have experienced over time and that I just know are things that need to happen. So now we're going to check here. I'm going to hit sign up again. Let's try this again. And it's going to error out. And it's going to tell me what that error is. Unauthenticate database error save creating, so unexpected failure. So we need to hit attempt fix. Now I could technically just come in here and go into N8N chat widget, go into the authentications table and check out in the authentications table and create a new user manually, right? So this is an option as well. And it says database error creating new user. So I need to understand why, like what is the error in creating that new user? What's causing it? Is it row level security? Is it like sign-in providers? Like there's all sorts of stuff that we have to be cognizant of when we're creating these things. And this is just something that you have to get used to when you are building out this stuff. So now we're going to apply this change. And I know we're almost up on time, guys. So what I want to say is like we've built out essentially a front end with a login screen in just shy of an hour. And we built out a database connection and we built out a variety of other things. This may seem like to some people like it wasn't successful, right? And feel like that when you're 45 minutes to an hour and a half to 2 hours in. But you have to understand that in the context of producing an application and the context of being a traditional software developer, we're talking about this kind of stuff taking months, and you just did it in 2 hours. And sure, is it working? No. But is it something that can work if you apply troubleshooting skills and different things to it? 100%. So remember that it's like Rome wasn't built in a day, is the saying, right? And do we have new technologies that 3D print buildings that build things faster? 100%, but they're not perfect.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. That's the thing. Again, so all right, sorry.
So Georgetta was.
There's a weird delay. So
Georgetta was asking, what is your tech stack? So I start in Lovable and I build a front end. From Lovable, I move to bolt.diy using an Anthropic Claude Sonnet 4 API. From there, I use a Postgres database as opposed to a Supabase database because I freaking hate row level security. I use a regular Postgres database on DigitalOcean. I sync and deploy everything live to DigitalOcean. And I then switch, once I get the application mostly functional, I switch over to using a platform called Cursor, which is the most advanced platform for vibe coding. And I take Cursor and I build out all of the more complex application components. But I start in Lovable. And then I download the files from Lovable, upload them into bolt.diy, download from bolt.diy, upload to GitHub, upload to DigitalOcean, upload into Cursor, and go from there. So it's my process is a little bit more complex, but it does allow me to write 33,000 lines of code in 6 hours and have a fully functional application.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But doing it is like watching lightning happen. It's just like, I mean, I'm like this. Every time the AI moves, I'm back and forth and I'm copying and pasting files and moving stuff, and trying to explain all of that would just be an episode in terrorism. I'm happy to teach you one-on-one for anyone that's interested in learning how to vibe code one-on-one. I'm happy to absolutely show people more advanced stuff. I love Kevin Lyons' project for his law firm. That sounds like a really good idea. I think you're going to crush it, dude.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's going to be really, really great. But so everybody knows, again, because we're out of time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, vibe coding. We're going to go to part 2 with this. Hopefully next week we'll have it a little bit further down. And then again, download that link if you guys haven't it. And again, this is going to be like kind of the learning progression. So go back, watch the original vibe coding one, come in here, try it out for yourselves. And again, the only way you're honestly going to learn a lot of this stuff is doing it yourself. So folks, if you're not going out there and you're not trying this for yourself, you're going to kind of be left out. So again, just take your chance, do it. Worst case scenario is you launch something that doesn't launch. That's all it is. But that's the worst things that can happen to you. Nothing bad will ever happen to this.